All right, we're back here on SportsLine. 737-7767 is our number. If you'd like to jump in, phone line's going to be open for the next 10 minutes or so. We'll get to some guests a little bit later on here in the program. Before the break, we had a caller who posed the question, or basically made the statement, that they believe that the future of the NFL quarterback position is Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, those mobile guys, maybe even like a Marcus Mariota, that can really use their legs as well as throw the football. I think there's something to that. I think having those guys who can avoid pressure, they can extend plays, they can run if they have to, scramble, all that. I think there's a lot to be said for having one of those guys. That said, the NFL quarterback position remains a position that takes place within the pocket. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're Tom Brady, not very mobile, Peyton Manning, not very mobile, or a Cam Newton, Marcus Mariota, Russell Wilson, whoever. Your decision-making in the pocket, your ability to pre-snap read defenses, post-snap read defenses, make good decisions, and operate from within the pocket, be able to throw the ball around the field from behind those big uglies up front on the offensive line and be accurate from in the pocket is absolutely critical to your success in the National Football League. All the other stuff is just bonus. It helps. It helps when Aaron Rodgers extends plays and then fires those darts to his bevy of receivers. It helps when Cam Newton can scramble as an offensive quarterback. It helps when Russell Wilson plays Houdini there in the backfield and makes something out of nothing like we've seen so many times. All of that helps. But all of those guys are good, not necessarily because of their athletic ability, but because of how they operate within the pocket. Russell Wilson is a very good quarterback in terms of surveying the field and making good decisions, high percentage decisions. Cam Newton has become a pretty darn good passing quarterback from the pocket. Aaron Rodgers may be one of the best. And that's the thing. Love having mobile quarterbacks. I love the extra dynamic that they bring. But you have to be able to operate within the pocket. And when you look at the NFL today, when you look at these playoffs, you've got to have a good quarterback. Doesn't matter who the coach is, doesn't matter what the team is. You have to have a good quarterback to get to January and to advance in January. Teams in the Super Bowl, Peyton Manning, maybe the greatest of all time, at least in the regular season, and Cam Newton, who's your MVP of this year. Your championship in each league, throw in Tom Brady, who is in the argument for greatest of all time himself, and throw in Carson Palmer, who, although he struggled in the playoffs and certainly did this year, very much looks like a very good to elite level quarterback in the National Football League. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, go on and on down the list. Ben Roethlisberger. Those guys are the guys that when you get to January, you believe they can win. Not all of them are mobile quarterbacks, but all of them, the trait they share in common is their ability to operate within the pocket. That, to me, remains the key. The extra stuff's great. Huge arm, be able to run, all of that's great. But you've got to be able to operate and perform from within the pocket in the National Football League. Let's go to Leon. Leon, good evening.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Doing well.
Listen, I've been listening to what people have been saying as far as, being able to trade down and get a running back in the later rounds. And, I also agree that if you have a quarterback, games are won from the pocket as far as quarterbacks go. But when you can add a legitimate play action package to that makes your quarterback and your other skilled position players even better. And I just want to say, that being said, I've had an opportunity to see Derrick Henry play about 4 times, and he is unreal. I mean, the Titans' success have always been successful when they've had a bell cow back,
right,
like Eddie George, Chris Johnson, and somebody who could carry the ball with a physical on the physical side. Of course, Chris was speed, but Eddie was more physical. But Derrick Henry, he is special.
Would you spend the number 1 pick on the draft on him?
Now, if I'm the Titans, I would say yes. Any other team, I would say no. But for the Titans, yeah, because he will bring a very physical run game to the Titans organization, and that is what they have been lacking. And he'll give them a legitimate. He'll also add to their play action package. You know, and when he breaks into the secondary, believe me, he is. You force a lot of defensive backs to make business decisions.
Oh, absolutely. He's physical, and he can run by you, too. It's deceptive how fast he is for the great size that he has. He's a guy that's going to be very interesting at the next level because he's not the typical size and stature for that running back position. That'll raise red flags, as we talked about earlier. Some people will think that doesn't hold up. But obviously, here in Tennessee, we've seen it happen before. So how do people ultimately view that? And then wherever you have him, or Ezekiel Elliott, or some of the other great backs in this class, how high are you willing to go? Are you willing to spend a first-round draft pick, which most teams haven't been in recent years, to go after one of those guys if you think he's a franchise changer? Good evening, John. You're next up.
How are you doing? I think Cam Newton is going to win the Super Bowl. The Carolina Panthers have a good defense.
I think you're absolutely right about the Panthers' defense. What makes you so sure that Cam's going to win it, though? Is it that defense, or do you think he's going to do the special things we've seen all season offensively that's going to win it for the Panthers?
I believe he'll do a special play or two and hand the ball off because the Super Bowl 50.
Okay. Well, thanks, John. We appreciate the call. The thing that will be interesting to me in this game is we'll talk about the Panthers' defense. It's terrific. The Broncos also have a darn good defense in their own right. But against the Patriots, it almost became an unfair fight. With those 3 young guys on the Patriots' offensive line, they just had no chance against those pass rushers, Von Miller and crew, with no rushing attack at all. You knew Brady was going to pass, especially when they got down in the game, which they did, again, because Peyton comes out hot, makes a couple nice plays early in the game. Broncos are ahead. They're able to just pin their ears back and go after Brady, and that offensive line wasn't able to stop him, wasn't able to stop that penetration for the most part, and that became a huge issue for the Patriots throughout the game. The Panthers can throw the ball, they can run the ball effectively, and, as we were talking about, you have the dual threat in Cam Newton at quarterback. You didn't have that with Brady. Brady's not taking off and scrambling and running for a first down. He's not running on a quarterback-designed play. Cam Newton does that. So now all of a sudden this is a much more multiple offense that the Broncos have to face in this game. They're really good. They are a really good defense. But this is a much more difficult challenge in the Super Bowl than what they faced against the Patriots. And that is why I think you got to ask more for Peyton Manning in this game, because the Panthers are going to score. The question is, because the Broncos score enough to beat them. Back to the phones we go. Hello, you are next up here on SportsLine.
Me?
Yep, it's you.
Okay, listen. I need to remind you that Todd Gurley went in the 3rd position last year in the first round, pick number 3. I need to remind you that Derrick Henry holds every single SEC school record, or SEC record for yardage there is. And he's being discounted, and people are acting like he's no big deal. But I'm telling you, he is the man. He's the Heisman Trophy winner. You're not going to find a better running back out there. If Ezekiel Elliott was a better running back, he'd have had better stats, and he'd have been the Heisman Trophy winner. I'm just saying Derrick Henry should go number 1. And if you look back at what Todd Gurley did this year, It's hard to argue not to.
Well, I appreciate the call. Look, that's a great point of view. I'll tell you this. Todd Gurley was the 10th pick, not the 3rd pick. He was the 10th pick in the draft. He had a great rookie season. I think Todd Gurley's a very special running back. I think Derrick Henry can be in that mold. What I'm telling you is that running backs have been devalued in the National Football League in recent years. And that's what Henry and Gurley and Elliott and all those guys are going to have to battle. No matter how good you are, the Heisman stats, all of that stuff, you're going to have to prove that you are a can't miss. And more than can't miss, a can't replace. A lot of people in the NFL believe you can plug in a lot of different running backs and get about the same production. That unless you're Adrian Peterson, running backs are interchangeable parts, and other places are more important to draft to. That's what they have to prove. And, you know, in my place, Ezekiel Elliott is my preference between the two. That doesn't mean I'm right, but I just like the way he runs and his style of running. He didn't have nearly the carries, and he's not running behind the Alabama offensive line this year. So don't give me a straight comparison between those two guys because it's not the same thing. A lot of people could run for a lot of yards behind the Alabama offensive line. Now, Derrick Henry did spectacular things behind the Alabama offensive line, and that's why he's the Heisman Trophy winner, and that's a big reason why Alabama won the national championship. But he was running behind an offensive line that's sending a bunch of guys to the NFL as well, and that's a big part of it as well. We got to take a break. We will come back. The Upper Deck president to talk about what's going on this week in Nashville and some trends in the card industry. Stay tuned. You're watching SportsLine on News Channel 5+.